Hello everyone, so this video is going to be the start of a mini series from me, and in this video I'm going to be showing you my bookshelf #1 tour. Now I actually have 7 places that I store books. Sorry for the tremendous flash there, but this hallway isn't very bright so I have to put the flash on. I technically have 7 places that I store books. They're not all bookshelves, but we'll get on to that. So there's no way I could possibly show you all of the books that I own in one video. I have a bit of an obsession. So I thought I would do my bookshelf #1 tour and then continue this mini-series, eventually showing you all the books I own. And by the time I get to the end of the series, I'll probably own more. Anyway, you've seen this bookshelf a few times before, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth, so I hope the video doesn't run too long. Maybe this will give you an idea of some of my book interests, that kind of thing. So this is more my miscellaneous books, more than anything else. So let's get straight on. So before we get onto the actual books themselves, this is what my hallway looks like. So we do have a few True Blood books just here, just along here. I won't go into all the True Blood books because I have done dedicated True Blood videos. And then moving further down we have, again, my Gotham collection. This features 2 books just there. Again, I have discussed them in the future. That was a squeaky floorboard, by the way, if you heard that sound. I have discussed Gotham in past videos, so I'm not going to get into that either. So let's get on to the actual bookcase itself, which is here. So this is my bookcase. I've had this I've had it since I was born because my parents actually owned this before me. So it's very, very old, and we'll just get on to the books that are on here. So like I said, these are my more miscellaneous books, so you won't find any Harry Potter books here, none of my Tudor books, they're in a separate video. So we have the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy. I mean, the less said about that, the better, right? Then we have 2 The Elder Scrolls books. I'm a huge fan of the Elder Scrolls games. We have my tiny Anne Rice section. I only have Interview with a Vampire, The Vampire's Lestat, and The Queen of the Damned. I do need to get more of Anne Rice's books. And I also have this cute little fox figure because why not? So again, sorry that the flash is going to go in and out, I know that's pretty annoying. Anyway, this section here is my Series of Unfortunate Events selection. So we have 2 DVDs up there of the original film. I don't have any DVDs of the television series because I don't know if they've actually brought it out on DVD, I watch it on Netflix. Then we have an audiobook of The Vile Village just there. We have the unauthorised Lemony Snicket autobiography. That's 3 books in one, that's the book of the film. Then we have The Truth Behind a Series of Unfortunate Events, and then we have the full series all the way across here. I just love how they look. Then we have the first 4 The Princess Diaries books. I was obsessed with these as a kid, by Meg Cabot. I'm sure you've probably all watched at least the first Princess Diaries film. Then we have 2 books here, Soul 7 and Day 7 by Kerry Drury, who I have met, and I have yet to read these books, but they are on my TBR. These are both signed as well, and she also gave me a couple of badges when I met her, so they're just chilling there. Moving on, we have my House of Night series. I was obsessed with this series when I was a kid, and I actually think it's still a really good series. So this is by PC and Kristen Cast, so I'm not going to go through them all, but it starts there. It annoys me that I start in paperback, go to hardback, and then there's a few paperbacks nestled in there. These ones here are the short stories that are included in the series. There is one more book that has recently come out that I don't have yet, and then finally we have the fledgling handbook there. So that's all of my House of Night books. Again, I do need to finish that series. And then I have 3 raccoons here because, well, I don't know, but raccoons are one of my favourite animals, so why not? And if one fox wasn't good enough for you, I actually have another fox. Why not? So then we have my Chronicles of Narnia series, all 7 books there. So we have The Magician's Nephew, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, The Horse and His Boy, Prince Caspian, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Silver Chair and The Last Battle, all by C.S. Lewis. I have read all of those. And I'm actually going to pull this out quickly because the box is really, really pretty. So this is what this box set looks like, and I just think it's gorgeous. And then on the back, you have the final fight between Aslan and the White Witch, which I think is pretty cool. Again, I'm so sorry about this flash. I know it's annoying as heck, but the lighting here is terrible. Next up, we have Sister of the Dead, the national best-selling authors Barb and J.C. handy. I haven't read that yet, so I can't tell you about that. Next up we have The Life of P.T. Barnum. I haven't read that either, but I know who P.T. Barnum is. Obviously, a lot of you might know him from the recent film The Greatest Showman. This is a more historically accurate version of his life, but again, I haven't read it. Then I have the novelisation of Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Again, I haven't read that yet, but I have watched the movie. Then we have Aileen Wuornos, very famous female serial killer. I have read that, and that comes with a DVD as well, I believe. Then we have a couple of vampire books here, or just one here, there are a few further down. The New Vampire's Handbook by Miles Proctor. Then we have a Tomb Raider reboot book, The 10,000 Immortals by Dan Abbott and Nick Vincent. I love this. Dan Abnett, sorry. I love this. I am a huge fan of the Tomb Raider reboot. I just love this book. Next up we have a classic, which is Sylvia Plath, The Bell Jar. It's a hard read for someone with mental health, I will say that, because it deals with a lot of mental health things, but I got through it and I'm pretty glad that I did. Up here we have a book. This one you will have seen in one of my The Works hauls, because that's where it's from, but it's William Shakespeare, A Very Peculiar History. I haven't got around to this yet, but I'm currently doing an online course on William Shakespeare, so that's handy. Then we have The Watcher in the Shadows by Carlos Ruiz Zafron. I hope I've said that right. Haven't read it yet, so I can't tell you. Then we have Chocolat by Joanne Harris, another classic. I haven't read the book, to my shame, but I have seen the film with Johnny Depp. Then we have The Woman in Black by Kerry Wilkinson, and this one is actually quite funny because I bought it thinking it was a novelisation of the film that Daniel Radcliffe was in. It actually isn't. It's a completely different story, but it's a very, very good one. Next up I have The Great Comedies and Tragedies of William Shakespeare. This is a quite a thick volume, and right next to that I have Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. Again, you will have seen these both in my The Works haul, but yeah, I'm a big William Shakespeare fan. Moving on, this is a very eclectic mix at the bottom, but we have my very small Jacqueline Wilson section. So we have My Sister Jodie, Best Friends, which is signed by Jacqueline Wilson, Midnight, which is my all-time favourite Jacqueline Wilson book, The Illustrated Mum, another one of my favourites, and The Lottie Project. The reason I kept these three in particular is because they were always my favourite Jacqueline Wilson books. Yes, they are for children, but I don't want to get rid of them. I've never actually read Best Friends, but I might get round to it. There are a few more Jacqueline Wilson books that I've read that I borrowed from the library, but these are the only ones I own. And then we have one of my favourite books of all time, The Lovely Bones. As you can see, I actually have 2 copies of that. That's by Alice Sebold, and the movie's one of my favourite movies as well. It's a very, very hard read because of the subject matter. A girl is abused and murdered, but it's just such a great, heart-wrenching book, and I love it. The reason I have 2 is because this one is signed by Alice Sebold, which I'm so happy about because she's one of my favourite authors. Next up we have her memoir, Lucky, by Alice Sebold, and this is another heart-wrenching read because this is about her real-life experience of being sexually assaulted, so it's a very, very, very hard read, but it's a great, great book. Then we have The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Again, another hard read, but I'm sure I don't need to talk about that too much because I'm sure you've all heard of it. Next up we have Paper Towns by John Green, which I didn't actually enjoy as much as The Fault in Our Stars. These are the only 2 John Green books I currently own, but I do need to buy a few more of his works. Then I have my favourite film of all time in its novelisation form, Girl Interrupted by Susanna Kaysen. The memoir did come first before the film. What can I say about Girl Interrupted? It means so much to me. I could do a whole video on Girl Interrupted. We might as well move on because I could talk about that for years. Right next to that is another Susanna Kaysen book, The Camera My Mother Gave Me. This is a memoir as well, and Susanna Kaysen has written a few more, but they're very, very hard to get a hold of, so I am eventually going to. Moving on, we have Divergent, or however you say it, by Veronica Roth. To my shame, I haven't read that yet. I will get around to it, and then I'll probably have to buy the other books. Then we have, of course, my copy of Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. We have to have it. Then we have The Host by Stephanie Meyer. So you'll notice there's no Twilight books here. They are in a separate collection, so you'll see them in a future video. The Host is one of the best books I've ever read, and I know that's a bit cliche. Not cliche, it's a bit silly to say when there's so many good classics out there, but I think people because it's written by Stephanie Meyer, people might not want to give it a go because of the reputation surrounding Twilight. And regardless of your opinions on Twilight, I would urge you to try and give The Host a go, or even watch the film with Saoirse Ronan, because I love it. I really, really do. Moving on, we have Misery by Stephen King here. Now, to my shame, I don't have that many Stephen King books. I really, really need to, because I think he's a fantastic writer. This is my favourite Stephen King book at the moment. And I haven't seen the film with Kathy Bates, so I need to get on that. Next up we have Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead, and again, I haven't read it yet, but I know it's a hugely popular series. Then we have Bite, a Vampire Handbook by Kevin Jackson. We have Greek Mythology by Richard Stoneman. I am huge into my mythologies and Greek mythology. We have a random Lady Gaga book. We have Myths and Legends, I just love stuff like that, by Anthony Horowitz. I'm sure most of you have heard of him. We have My Crazy Beautiful Life, which is Kesha's kind of autobiography. I love it. We have A Strategy Guide for Theme Park World. Why not? Now, this is a funny one. We have The Magic Pot. Now, this is my childhood book. My mum used to read this to me religiously, and we've kept it just for nostalgic purposes. Then I have The Witch's Daughter by Nina Bowden. Again, I haven't read that yet. Another one of my all-time favourite books. This is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Love the movie, and the book is just phenomenal. And I actually have a funny story with Gone Girl. Me and my dad were supposed to go and see Horns in the cinema, but we went a week early, so we ended up picking the first film that we saw, which was Gone Girl, and we were really frightened that it was going to be a horror, because we're not very good with them. And it was a complete accident, and it ended up being one of our favourite movies of all time. So that's my little story with that. Then we have, again, you'll have seen this in a haul, Secret Societies and Creepy Cults. I haven't got around to reading that one yet, but I know I'm going to love it. We have With a Bended Bow, which is a history of archery in medieval and Renaissance Europe. I am a huge archery fan. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that on this channel. Archery is a huge passion of mine. I do love it. Then we have these little books here, which is Kings and Queens, so book 2, book 3 and book 4. The reason book 1 isn't here is because it's in my Tudors section. Then these are a couple of my dad's books that I've kept, so The Ultimate Trivia Quiz and The Complete Public Speaker, which I thought would be really interesting to read. Then we have a Only Fools and Horses tie-in book. You know I love the Only Fools and Horses series, so I'm happy for that. We have one of Stephen Fry's autobiographies, The Fry Chronicles. I am excited to get into that because I haven't started that yet. We have Pocket History, which is what it says on the tin. Gothic Dreams Vampires, again another childhood book that I've kept. We have this JLS autobiography, which I've never read, but I bought it because it's signed by them. This I'm a Celebrity tie-in book. And then this one again is a childhood thing, The Flintstones Wacky Inventions. I just had to keep it because I've got fond memories of this one. Moving on, we're on to the last section of the bookcase, so sorry if this is quite long, but we have Dark Places by Gillian Flynn, Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter, Ungrateful Daughters by Maureen Waller. That's about the Stuarts. This one is a child, a young child case. We have The Sweet Scent of Blood by Suzanne MacLeod, Fable, The Wolverine Order. I'm very, very happy with this one because I love the Fable series of games. Heroes and Monsters, Legends of Ancient Greece. I am a huge Greece fan. Not Greece in the movie, although I do like that, but I mean Greek myth. Then we have The Scandalous Lady W by Hayley Rubenhold. This should probably be in my Natalie Dormer collection. I just loved the film that Natalie was in, and I had to buy the book, and I wasn't disappointed. Of course, we have Bram Stoker's Dracula, which has been read to death. Then we have Secrets of High Magic, Irish Witchcraft and Demonology, Serial Killers, what can I say? Red Sparrow by Jason Matthews, I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith, Brooklyn by I can't say it, we'll move on. And these three actually don't have a space on the bookshelf, but we have Gerald's Game by Stephen King, The Wicked Wit of Queen Elizabeth II, again you'll have seen that in a haul, and Divorced, Beheaded, Died, The History of Britain's Kings and Queens in bite-sized chunks. I'm a huge royalist, so I'm happy about those. So next up we have The Witches, which is all about Salem. I am, obsessed with the Salem witch trials and everything that happened. Then we have The Hospital, which is again a harrowing read. Another Stephen King book, which is The Green Mile. Obviously, I love The Green Mile. We have The Danish Girl. The film is one of my favourite films of all time, but I do find the book a little bit hard to get through. We have Lessons from a Dead Girl, another Lady Gaga biography there. White Bones, The Castle of Otranto. Now, I've spoke about this one before in a wrap-up by Horace Walpole. This is a very, very old book, not this edition, and this is considered to be one of the first Gothic novels ever, so preceding Dracula and all other things, so I had to give that a read. Then we have the novelisation of Star Trek Into Darkness. We have Looking for Alaska by John Green. I forgot I had that one. We have A Brief History of Vampires, Raining Cats and Dogs, which is pretty cool. We have 2 Buddhist books here, Buddhist Scriptures and Buddhism. I'm not going to get into it too much. I am not a Buddhist, but I have dabbled, shall we say, and I do still believe in a lot of Buddhist traditions and things like that. Then we have Devoured. We have, of course, The Princess Bride by William Goldman, another classic and one of my favourite movies of all time. We have Wolf Silver by Sarah Elliott. This is signed. And then this is my mother's book, Black Beauty by Anna Sewell, another classic. Finally, we're on to the last shelf, which there's a lot of my illustrated movie companions here. I won't talk about them too much because I have done a separate video on that. But we have Robin Hood, The Prince of Thieves, the movie companion there. That's one of my favourite movies. We have a lovely book all about pirates here. Alice in Wonderland, The Visual Guide. The Host, the official illustrated companion. The Cabin in the Woods, illustrated companion. The Chronicles of Narnia, illustrated companion. You haven't seen this one yet because this is a very new edition. The Sims 3 official game guide. Fable 2 official game guide. The official Tomb Raider files. Lara Croft's book, another Tomb Raider book. Vampires, another one. As you can see, there's a lot of vampire books here. Then we have 2 books about Skyrim. Volume 1 and Volume 2. There is a Volume 3 now, so I need to get that. We have another book about pirates here. If you don't know, I'm a huge pirate fan as well, but you probably guessed by the Pirates of the Caribbean collection. Then we have Jack the Ripper. I've always been fascinated by that case. Characters from Tolkien by David Day. I haven't actually watched or read The Lord of the Rings, which I really do need to, but I have seen The Hobbit, so yay me. And then we have A Guide to the Wizards of the World. This one is my dad's again, but I thought I'd keep it. Film Facts by Patrick Robertson. My dad had a huge collection of books as well, but I unfortunately couldn't keep them all, so I had to pick from a select few, and this one made the cut. Then we have another serial killer's book, and another vampire book. Then we have Do You Know Who You Are, which is one of those kind of, not a wreck this journal, but one of those books that you colour and write things and prompts and all bits like that. Then we have the Anthology of Amazing Women. You'd have seen that in a wrap-up. And finally, The Lives of the Kings and Queens of England. So that is my full bookcase, along with obviously Gotham and True Blood up at the top there. This is, like I said, only a short selection of my books, so you can see I'm pretty obsessed with books. I don't know how many videos I'm going to end up doing. I'm so sorry this has run so long. I didn't realise it would run as long as this, but here you go. So at one point I will do my bookshelf number 2 tour, which might be Harry Potter, it might not be. I'll see how I feel. So thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you like this kind of thing. Thank you if you've got this far, because this is one of the longest videos I've ever done that's not a vlog, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.